We got some news to get into today, boys. We got a first look at the Sporefall raid, some of the mechanics that are going to be happening in that thing, and what it indicates for what you might want to bring to that raid. Also, a little bit of chatter, or talker, I don't know what you want to call it, a little bit of chatter about not chatting in game and what that means right now and how players are hitting record highs in Mythic Plus. Let's just jump straight in here. We got this new journey to help hatch some Loa, I should say. And if you've been playing through the game right now, you know there's this little quest line about gathering up eggs and hatching them and getting all this shit ready, I should say, to be hatched. And, well, this is going to continue in 12.0.7. One cool little thing about this storyline is it's going to lead to getting a little Dragon Hawk pet. That's right. So one of the nicer little side stories here going on in WoW right now will actually be wrapped up in 12.0.7, where the Loa will return, and in fact, you will hatch the eggs that you have been gathering up throughout the time if you've been playing through the side quest. It'll end with you actually getting Emberlin, a nice little Dragonhawk pet reward for those of you who've actually been going through this quest line and finishing this stuff out. I personally have not been interacting with the Loa since I left that area during the quest time, but if you have, this will be a nice little closeout to that story for you. Moving on to some more interesting stuff here, the Sporefall raid. Right, we're getting a new raid on 12.0.7. Everyone knows that at this point. It's going to give us the highest item level gear in the game right now, with Spore-fused gear being 9 item levels higher than any of the current track items that exist. So if you have a myth track item, it's 9 levels higher than that. If you have a heroic track item, 9 levels higher than the max that can go to. So these are going to be pretty valuable items. One thing that players are worried about is the stats were randomized on the PTR for quite a bit. Well, Blizzard solidified that. So we have solid stats now for all of these items, which means you no longer have to worry about kind of re-rolling or using bonus rolls to hopefully get the stats that you wanted. That's a good thing. You know, players didn't want to have to deal with that. I wouldn't want to have to deal with that. There's nothing exciting about re-rolling an item that you know is going to be the same item level that you currently have, the same exact look, same everything. The only difference is you're rolling on secondary stats. So that's never been a fun system to deal with. Luckily, we won't have to deal with it in the Sporefall raid. Now, speaking of the Sporefall raid in general, this thing is looking intensely AOE heavy. So let's look real quick at some of this stuff here. We have some interesting looks here, first looks at how this fight is going to work. So essentially what you have is a fight that is very ad intense. I mean, look at this man's screen right now, just covered in ads everywhere. And I'll talk about the mechanic that he just died to. But basically what you have here is you've got 3 main ad types. The Shroomling, which fixates on a random player, the Fungaling, which fixates on another random player, and the Spore Cap, a stationary mushroom that occasionally casts a poison burst, which is an AoE damage thing that needs to be interrupted constantly. Anytime a minion dies, it leaves down a corpse on the floor. Players with the fixated shrooms will want to keep it far away from the players with the fixated funglings. So the shroomling and the fungling need to be kept apart from each other, and vice versa. If the shroomling and the fungling die too close to each other, cross-fertilization occurs, and then there's a big burst on the room that essentially kills everybody. And that's what you're seeing right here in this little clip from the raid on PTR. They essentially killed the two right next to each other, these 2 green caps. And when these guys died next to each other, you get a big burst that ends up killing the raid. So that's one mechanic right there. The second mechanic is the Fungal Bloom. At 100 energy, Rotmeyer's casts Fungal Bloom, turning all minion corpses into bursting shrooms that need to be defeated before their cast finishes. So this is like an AoE DPS check. What you're going to want to have done at this point is gathered up all the fungal boys and killed them so they're near the boss before they get raised again for us to have to DPS them down again before their casts go off. The thing, again, that you got to deal with is you can't have the Shroomling and the Fungling too close to each other when they die, or they're going to kill everybody. So there's like this distance game you're playing with all the ads trying to get them ready to be mowed down in this phase right here. If any minion are still alive when the Fungal Bloom goes off, they're buffed with Fungal Frenzy, which increases their damage to 100%, movement speed by 50%, CC immunity and all. In other words, yeah, you're going to die if this ends up happening. So here's another clip of that. Basically, all the boys in the raid are about to be raised, and they're going to have to be DPS down quickly before their casts go off. It's kind of like the entry in not Myasar Caverns, Algathar Academy. If you know that one with the, the seeds and how they go off, and then you got to DPS all that shit down before they start wrecking everybody in the group. That's basically how this works. So again, based on these mechanics right now, this is Mythic, by the way, so we'll see how many of these mechanics actually trickle down to normal and heroic. But right now, this looks like a very, raid, or I should say AOE intensive fight. Yeah, fungal boys. Yeah, and that means you're going to want to bring a lot of AOE DPS classes. Now remember, this is a Mythic flex raid, which means 15 to 25 man is going to be the number you can roll with, and we'll see what the combos end up looking like. As an AOE intensive fight, I could imagine some of the classes that people are going to want to bring. We're going to want to see Warlocks probably. Devastation Evokers have some decent AOE abilities. Maybe some mages as well. So we'll see what the S tier of DPS classes ends up being in this raid. But right now, some interesting mechanics to look at for sure. And like I said, we'll see what normal and heroic end up looking like. Now moving on to the other side of the competitive landscape in World of Warcraft, Mythic Plus. And it's not that competitive right now. People are pushing keys faster and higher than ever before. Right now, we just had a plus 24 Mayasara Caverns completed. This is the highest key completed right now in WoW. It's also the highest key completed since, what was it? Since the reset of keys. You guys remember when they rescaled keys to change the numbers and how they all work back in Dragonflight Season 4? Well, this is a plus 24 is the highest key we've seen. It's also the fastest we've ever seen the highest key achieved. Right now, we're just in Season 1, guys. We literally just had the crest cap removed, which is crazy because that means all these players' item levels are about to be pushed up even more. Now, these guys are really sitting at the high end. We're talking 290 item level, 288.9 is the lowest item level in this group. So obviously these guys are ready to go, but they're going to get higher item level gear from Sporefall too. So right, they can do Mythic Sporefall, get another 9 item levels on top of that. We also have the Ascendant Void Cores that just came in that they can use upgrades on that too. So these guys are going to push their item levels even higher in this season, even before this season's over. What was the group comp? Let's look real quick. We have a obviously Guardian Druid, the tank. That's the freaking tank of the week right now. We also see a Mistweaver Monk was their healer. Then we saw an Augmentation Evoker, a Devastation, Demon Hunter, and then finally we have obvious, it's the choice of the week and the season this year, Unholy Death Knight sitting there in this group as well. So the group comp kind of fits what the meta has been lately, but seeing this group push a plus 23, as I said before, plus 24 this early is pretty crazy. Typically we see keys get even higher in Season 2 and Season 3. So plus 24 probably isn't the highest we're going to see. We could see plus 26 and 27 in Seasons 2 and 3 as well down the line. So right now, people, don't forget, this season are pushing for the first time for that top 1% achievement too. So right now, it's looking real good. I said Devour Demon Hunter, my bad. So right now, you're seeing people push keys. They're incentivized to push keys as high as possible to finish in that what is essentially a gladiator version achievement of Mythic Plus. So right now, players are pushing for that. They're also pushing for the 3400 achievement. So yeah, I mean, people are going to keep pushing these keys higher. We'll see how high people actually go. Now, what does this mean? Is it just too easy? Is Mythic Plus too easy this season? I don't know what's your guys' opinion on it. I personally think an easier season's a better season. I think it's fun to see progression throughout the season. I don't think it's fun to hit walls by any means or to get stuck on a simple key level because you can't get past it or Blizzard decide to make it too hard. Diamond says he thinks it's tough. Look, I do feel like it's easier. I'll be honest. You guys saw me just the other day. I hadn't participated really in the season because I've just been raiding and doing other shit. I jumped in at plus 10s and they didn't feel that hard. Now, I will say Blizzard's helped a lot with some of the mechanics they put in the game. You know, the post add-on life makes things a little bit less complicated right now. Things like interrupts you have a little bit longer to get them off. Things like tanking right now with the tanking routes and the what was it, that little vision thing that tells you which way to go. It's easier for sure. So I think it's the right way to go though. I think an easier season is what players want. I think players want to push keys higher. They want to challenge themselves, and if they do want that challenge, hey, try to do a plus 25 because that's the next highest one right now. Overall, interesting stuff, though. We'll see how far people push these keys going forward. And finally, is nobody talking in WoW anymore? It's an interesting thought, and as somebody in chat just said, oh, it's been since WoD that it's been like this. Look, here's the thing. World of Warcraft as a game is supposed to be a social game. But at the end of the day, I'm sure a lot of us have experienced this, even when you join a group for a Mythic Plus or anything else. How many of you guys have actually joined a group, complete the run, and leave the group without ever saying a word to anybody in that group? It's almost like a, as they call it, two ships passing in the night. It's like, we're here to benefit each other, but nobody really cares to talk anymore. Now, talking in WoW used to be something that was required to form groups. I mean, if you were back here in the vanilla days, you'll remember the trade chat being used to form up groups, stuff like that. So Even things like city chats or chats for specific zones. People used to use them to look for help for quests and stuff like that. All of those things are gone. They started to disappear, honestly, when Blizzard put in the queuing system for raid and everything else. Obviously, that took a lot of the social aspect of forming a group out. But are these really bad things? I mean, do players really want to go back to the Stone Age? Well, maybe classic Andes do. I think a lot of us appreciate a lot of the quality of life changes that have been put into WoW. I do miss the social aspect at times. It's honestly why I started streaming. Part of it was, when I joined stream, we form up rated stream. It's a social thing, right? We're talking in chat, we're having a good time, we're destroying bosses. It feels more social again. I think that's part of the reason why we enjoy watching WoW Twitch streams and playing with each other through WoW Twitch. Playing with each other sounds interesting, but nonetheless, there is certainly less chatting. I think if there's a statistical look at how much players chat in the game, it's certainly down. Obviously, all the solo content that's out there right now, I've been talking about it for quite a while right now. Solo content in WoW is better than it's ever been. Honestly, you can log in, never join a group, run delves, run ritual sites, and all the other things, and have myth track gear at this point. Because you're just doing that shit. You can get myth track crests. We just talked about heroic world tier and how that's going to give a myth track item. So there's plenty of ways now to gear out without ever joining a group. And then on the other side, even if you join a group, there's really no reason to chat anymore. So it's interesting. It's something that players talk about a lot. There's that tug and pull of, well, there's a lot of quality of life shit that's led to this. Do we want to get rid of that? And then there's the other side of it. Well, I miss being, the massive multiplayer feeling of this game. Things will continue to kind of move forward. We'll see what happens. Society in general, there's just less time to do shit. But hey, if AI takes all of our jobs away and we're just all living on universal income, sitting at home playing WoW, well, maybe we'll start chatting again because we'll have nothing better to do. Who knows? Overall, we looked at the raid today and everything else for today. That is all in terms of news.